Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, I'm delighted to be talking about a new book, The Crossroads, with prolific author CJ Bach. CJ, may I call you CJ? Is that all right?
Of, of course it is. Yes.
All
Thank you
right.
for having
Awesome.
me.
A pleasure to be chatting with you. And people out there will know you for the Joe Pickett series, uh, prolific again set of books. This is the 26th entry. So what's it been like to be part of this world for this long and to be celebrating this 26th publication?
Well, it's pretty terrific. I never anticipated 26 books in a series. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't anticipate the second book in the series. Way back in 2001, when my first novel, which I called Joe Pickett, which the publisher called Open Season, was published, the contract for that book was called for two other Joe Pickett books. So that's how the series was born. I was not starting out, not one of those guys saying, "Boy, I've got 8 books planned out in this, you know, Wyoming game warden series that everybody is waiting for." So luckily it's just worked out extremely well over the years. Um, each book has outsold the last, even it looks like this one too, as far as pre-sales go. So I couldn't ask for anything more. Never would have anticipated this many in the series, but luckily because you know made some decisions early on before I knew much that they would take place in real time and with the family, and family would grow up and all of that, and it's just all worked out very well.
Nice, nice, yeah. Lots of fortuitous events in the life of a game warden, for sure.
Lucky events, yes.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the family, the way that this story has grown, because this new story involves quite a bit of that, quite a bit of the family dynamics. How did you go about building that in this particular chapter in the series?
Sure, more so than any other book to date, actually. Well, like I mentioned, the very first book, the oldest daughter, Sheridan Pickett, in the very first book is 7 years old. Her sister Lucy is 3. And much of that book is told from her point of view, which was kind of different at the time. But since then, since the book's been told in real time, they've added a third sister. They've all grown up over the length of the series. They've all moved out of the house, left an empty nest. They're all three, Sheridan, April, and Lucy, very independent women doing different things, pursuing their own lives. And then in the events that happen in the Crossroads, I'm going to do a little spoiler, but it's on the jacket, so it's not that much of a spoiler. Very first chapter, Joe Pickett is found shot in his pickup truck at the junction of 3 roads that lead to 3 different ranches. He's been shot in the head, and he's immediately airlifted to a hospital and looks very dire. He's fighting for his life, and the 3 daughters all converge at the family home and come together, and they decide that they're going to try to investigate which of the 3 ranch families that Joe was probably on his way to visit may have ambushed him. So they turn sleuth, and first time they've ever done this, worked together like this, and most of the book is told from their point of view.
Um, how did you plan that out with these multiple families, these multiple threats, and all the dangers that they're facing? I imagine there's a good bit of planning and characterization that goes into all of that.
This one, yes. Hopefully, it's one of those things that a reader will not think of how kind of complex the storyline is. Hopefully, a reader will just keep turning the pages and can't wait to get to the next one. But I kind of look at it as a book of threes. There's 3 daughters, there's 3 ranches, there's 3 possible motives, there's 3 roads. And it all splits up and then comes back together in the end. But yeah, it progresses, from book is told from at least 4 points of view. See, I'm making it
Hmm.
sound more complicated than it reads, but it is. And the daughters have distinct personalities and distinct methods about them. And when they split up to go to these ranches, they split it up based on their personalities and the people that they're going to be interviewing, to try to get the most out of the interview as possible.
I have a review copy right here, and I am pleased to say that you treat the reader very well. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You're in good hands. Absolutely. Uh, Curious about kind of a craft question as you've been on this writing
Sure.
journey. Anything that you've learned about yourself and the world that you're creating with the Pickets?
What have I learned?
Hmm.
Is that the question? Well, I think I think I've learned, like with all characters, whether it's the families or even the bad guys, one of the things I've learned over the years is that the characters are in the books for their own reasons, not for your reasons, not to advance your plot. They all have different agendas, motivations. They just happen to be part of the storyline, and they're not to be treated like pawns to move the story forward. And I think as long as I keep that in mind and remember the point of view that I'm writing from, it's very readable, and that's always my goal. Um, is like I said, is not for the reader to think about, boy, this thing is kind of complicated how it's put together, but I can't wait to get to the next chapter and see what happens next.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Where do you hope to go next in your writing journey?
Well, I'm already, because of the contract I have and had. I'm already about halfway done with the next Joe Pickett book. I'll be
Nice,
putting that aside while this one it's going to come out on February 23rd, and I'll be on a book tour. So I'll put all that aside and then I'll come back to it.
nice, nice. And I always like to ask where people can find more information if they want to follow along with your work, find out more about you, and check out this expansive series.
Sure. Best place is on my website, which is cjbox.net. It's got all the information on all of the books, a lot of links to interviews and articles, as well as the book tour schedule and it reviews everything else. It's pretty comprehensive.